And welcome into Hoopsville, everybody. I'm your host, Dave McHugh. Hope you are enjoying the show as we have just gotten on the way. Lots to talk about between now and the end of the show as we will get you ready for the NCAA tournament sectional weekend in Division III men's basketball and women's basketball, of course. So if you got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. Make sure you join us on Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville. And of course, email us Hoopsville at d3hoops.com. Not everything going as smoothly as possible tonight. We're having a few challenges, but we're nonetheless on the air and hope you are enjoying the show. Lots to talk about tonight, and we will talk to most of those who will actually be sitting there at home this weekend, talking about teams who have the hosting opportunities, but though that is not necessarily a good omen, as D3 Hoops so eloquently pointed out earlier this week. We will find out if home cooking is everything it should be, and so on and so forth. So how does this all play out is to be determined, to be sure. So a lot of times teams get into this home-cooked advantage of being in the sectional round, but they don't get to the championship weekend as a result. And so, there's a lot of trying to figure that all out, and can teams take advantage of it? Certainly, there's some good teams who can, and there's some teams who have got this hosting opportunity because they are a geographically centric location. Mary Washington on the men's side is a prime example of that. They are hosting, even though Williams has better data, maybe Virginia Wesleyan has better data, but they are hosting nonetheless because Williams and Virginia Wesleyan are too far apart. So as a result, would Mary Washington be able to take care of the home court advantage and move on to the Final Four? I think they probably have the toughest task because they probably are not the best team. They aren't the best team in that sectional on paper. Everything changes when you play the games, of course. So we'll find out how that plays out. Of course, Williams will take on Albertus Magnus in the first game, Virginia Wesleyan versus Mary Washington in the second. That's all tomorrow. That's on the men's side. Amherst is the expected and no surprise host there. Stevens Point, the no surprise host there. Illinois Wesleyan, even Illinois Wesleyan's going to have a challenge here. They're going to take on Calvin in that first game, and if they win, maybe they see Dickinson or Wheaton. Wheaton, of course, beat them in the conference championship game just a couple weeks ago. So, the home court is not necessarily a good thing in Division III, to say the least. On the women's side, pretty much everybody who should be hosting is the highest seed is hosting. DePauw has a tough bracket. They're going to have to take on Carthage in the first game, and then they have Oshkosh or Whitewater in the second game if they were to win. Of course, at Madison, New Jersey, FDU Florham the host, Montclair State and Scranton in one game, Baldwin Wallace and FDU Florham in the other. At Tufts, they're going to have to take on a streaking Castleton State team, and of course Ithaca and Amherst on the other side. And Texas Tyler, Thomas More, Christopher Newport at Whitman. I would be shocked, to be completely honest, if either side, men or women, got all four of their hosts to the championship weekend. I'd be absolutely shocked. That would be, I think, the biggest story of the year. I don't think it's going to happen. I think at best you see two teams on the women's side, and on best you see three on the men's. You're not going to see four on both sides. It just isn't going to happen. If you got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. Email us Hoopsville at D3Hoops.com. And, of course, Facebook us at Facebook.com/Hoopsville. Got a question from Brian Schwartz. He asked us our question about Dickinson on Sunday night, and Brian, I'll be happy to repeat my thoughts. Dickinson, by the way, people have misconstrued my argument against Dickinson in the NCAA tournament. I didn't argue that they shouldn't have been in the NCAA tournament. I just thought Dickinson was positioned poorly in the Mid-Atlantic region to keep the Mid-Atlantic region from getting another team. I think Dickinson proved they could get in on their criteria late in the system. I think another Mid-Atlantic team could have gotten in ahead of them and still allowed Dickinson to get into the tournament. I think the committee, Mid-Atlantic Committee, downgrading or de-emphasizing the regional record or regional results record. Dickinson with a 2-1, I think, ended up being a roadblock. I think they got in eventually, but I think a team with a 4-4, 4-3, or a 5-5, like a Christopher Newport, a Stevenson, even a Messiah, could have gotten in ahead of Dickinson. So I'm not saying Dickinson certainly didn't deserve to be in the NCAA tournament. I think they're a good team. I'm very impressed that they got past Worcester, but Worcester, another story there. Probably one of the biggest disappointment in NCAA tournaments is the Scots. The Fighting Scots have always been a team everyone thinks is going to get to Salem and then just doesn't get there. They've been there twice in the last decade, but then never done anything there. And then there's years where they've had fantastic teams and laid an egg in the tournament. And I think they laid an egg a little bit against Dickinson, not to take anything away from Dickinson's 67-64 win. Dickinson is definitely in the deep end, playing with the big boys, as it were. Wheaton is going to be a tall task for Dickinson in a very CCIW-friendly gym. If Wheaton fans aren't at Bloomington, Illinois, at the Shirk Center, I'd be shocked. So Dickinson's going to have to almost deal with a home court disadvantage there. Wheaton won't have the full home court, certainly, but it will feel a little bit like a home game. And I think they're going to have some matchup issues. I think Wheaton is very good inside. They certainly have one of the best, maybe, point guards in the country. If not one of the best, certainly one of the top 5 point guards in the country. Obviously Aaron Toomey is another one that you put up there in that list. And so I think Dickinson's got a tough battle here. If they beat Wheaton, it's because they slow down the game. If they allow Wheaton to control the tempo, if they allow Wheaton, and I'm not saying Wheaton's a run-and-gun team, but if they allow Wheaton to control things, if they allow Wheaton's defense to take advantage of opportunities, Dickinson's going to be in trouble. If it is a close game, I'd be impressed. Dickinson has to keep this close the entire game, or they're just gonna get blown out of the gym. If they were to get past Wheaton into the Elite Eight and take on Calvin or Illinois Wesleyan, it's more of the same, if not worse, for Dickinson. Again, great run here. I'm not downplaying their run. I just think they are definitely in a scenario here that they're not familiar with. The Mid-Atlantic's got a lot of good teams, but historically, not like teams like Wheaton, Illinois Wesleyan, or Calvin. That doesn't mean you don't have a good team. It's just not built that way. Cabrini has never been built like a Wheaton or Illinois Wesleyan. Catholic has not been built like an Illinois Wesleyan or Wheaton. Scranton, all of these teams in the Mid-Atlantic are not built the same way as these Wheaton, Illinois Wesleyan, Calvin teams. So Dickinson, I'm keep an eye on. At this point, you beat Worcester, you're not out of it in the case of beating Wheaton or beating Illinois Wesleyan or Calvin. But definitely Dickinson, Geneseo State was one level, Worcester's another. Now you're into a whole nother stratosphere, as it were. So that's my answer on Dickinson. I hope it makes sense. Let's talk about the guests who are coming up tonight. Believe it or not, we're going to start on the West Coast. That's a rarity for us. Usually the West Coast teams tend to be our late show editions. But Whitman's women's basketball coach Michelle Ferenz will join us and talk about the team hosting in Walla Walla, Washington. Will that play? How much does she think that will play into it? Can her team get past this round? Can the Northwest Conference get a member? Of course, in women's basketball, they've gotten to the championship weekends, the George Foxes and the like. But can Whitman take care of the business at home? We'll hear from Illinois Wesleyan guru, CCIW guru, Midwest guru, Bob Quillman, who is now in the South. And we'll talk to Bob about his alma mater in the Sweet 16 and at the Shirk Center and whether he's making the trip up to the Shirk for those games. Plattsburgh State men's basketball coach Tom Curley will join us. We'll talk to him about his Cardinals. They will be playing Amherst. This is a familiar foe in the NCAA tournament for Plattsburgh. Can they get past Amherst on the road at Amherst? Can Plattsburgh be the one that can ruin the home cooking? FDU Florham women's basketball coach Mark Mitchell will join us. The Devils undefeated at this point in the season. Can they continue that stretch and take advantage of the home court advantage, even though Scranton is not that far from Madison, New Jersey, and Montclair State is certainly not that far from Madison, New Jersey. And, of course, Baldwin Wallace playing extremely good basketball right now all of those teams important. This will be a tough test for the Devils. Excuse me, a hiccup. Tufts women's basketball coach Carla Berube will join us on the show as well. They have lost at this point in the NCAA tournament. This is about as far as they've gotten, and they've lost because they've been on the road. They've also gotten to the Elite Eight against Messiah. They've always been on the road. Now they are at home. How important is playing at home going to be? Carla Berube will discuss that. And Illinois Wesleyan men's basketball coach Ron Rose will join us on the show. Again, home cooking. I believe the last time Illinois Wesleyan hosted a sectional was 1997. If anyone has not done the math, and I could be wrong, I got to go back and double check that. But if nobody has done the math, that's also the last time Illinois Wesleyan won a national title. Can Illinois Wesleyan get to Salem and use that similar momentum of 1997 to get going and into maybe a championship for the Titans? If you got questions for us, email us hoopsville at d3hoops.com, Facebook us. Facebook us at, what was it again? I'm blanking completely. Facebook us at facebook.com/hoopsville. Also, join us on Twitter at D3Hoopsville or #Hoopsville. Quick update for the Hoopsville fundraising project. If you contributed and you're getting a shirt, the shirts have been ordered. We will get them at some point next week. We were hoping to have them out and to you by the end of next week. That was the original plan by the end of the basketball seasons. It will now be delayed just about a week. We will be getting them right before we go to Salem, so we won't be able to actually provide them for you. However, they will be sent out momentarily after that. So you will get them momentarily if you did contribute enough to get a Hoopsville shirt. Bob Quillman, our good friend, not sure, I don't even want to know why he wants that captioned. But we'll move on. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Whitman's women's basketball coach will join us here on the show. And we will talk to her about the home cooking, as it were. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com and the National Association of Basketball Coaches. For more information, tweet us, email us, or Facebook us. You're listening to Hoopsville, and we'll be back with more Hoopsville right after this.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
College basketball lives in Kansas City at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center. The College Basketball Experience is the place to get your game on. It's not a museum, it's an experience you won't forget. Discover the history of the game in the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame, featuring the Gallery of Honor, Mentor's Circle, and Honor Theater. Suit up in the latest CBE logoed Nike gear at the CBE Hoop Shop. Elevate your game today and visit the house that college basketball built.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's 800 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over a decade. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're at D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
Every season starts with hope and a dream to play for the ultimate title, to become NCAA national champions. And you can experience it live at the 2014 NCAA Division III Men's Basketball Championship, March 21st and 22nd in Salem, Virginia, hosted by the Old Dominion Athletic Conference and the City of Salem. Affordable tickets now available. Visit ncaa.com/tickets today and make a date with champions.
And welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. I'm your host, Dave McHugh, broadcasting out of our Hoopsville studios in the greater Baltimore area. We appreciate all your support throughout the week, or throughout the year. We hope you're enjoying the show here tonight. Talking about home cooking just a little bit, and if you've got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville or #Hoopsville. You can also email us, hoopsville at D3Hoops.com, or join us on Facebook at Facebook.com/Hoopsville. Hoopsville. That home cooking certainly is in big supply out in the Northwest for a change. And for the first time, I believe, since 2006 on the women's side, the Northwest Conference gets to, or anybody from up there, but mainly the Northwest Conference is playing host to the sectional weekend. There's 3 teams will fly to Walla Walla, Washington, and out there and joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline presented by the Division III Men's Basketball Championship Weekend coming up next weekend in the city of Salem, Virginia, is Michelle Ferencz joining us as the Missionaries play host. And, Coach, I got to know, first and foremost, your reaction when you saw or were told that 3 teams were heading out your direction and you were staying home for the weekend.
Well, honestly, probably if you saw our post-game interview, I was shocked, but just because I hadn't realized what had taken place, in the other games. So, we obviously didn't. We were the last game of the day, last game of the night, and obviously had no idea that what had happened, at Ferrum or any of the other sites, to be honest. So we just figured that we would be shift east, and so without any other Northwest Conference teams still alive, there was just no chance of us getting to host. And so, yeah, we were shocked, but thrilled. I mean, we're obviously very excited to host such a prestigious event here, and we're excited to be at home again.
Yeah, certainly, it's almost a commonality that anybody on the West Coast just expects they're going to get shipped east. Of course, the first weekend, all 3 Northwest Conference teams got stuck, as it were, at your place and weren't shipped out. And I know the conference wasn't thrilled. What was your reaction to that setup initially?
I don't think any of us were thrilled. We were excited to host. Obviously, we were glad that it was at our place, and Whitman had never had a chance to host an NCAA tournament. In any sport like this. So we were excited about that. But, I think everybody in the conference expected possibly that one of the teams, Fox, Whitworth, or ourselves, would get shipped out and not have 3 teams from the same conference in a regional, in the same region. So, we've played each other a lot. I mean, part of the joy or the fun of getting into the tournament is not have to play each other, because we played a really good conference, so we beat up on each other, and so I think obviously it is what it is. I mean, it was unfortunate, and it doesn't help the conference, advance that second team, but it is what it is. We get the geography, we get that we're out here, so we're a little isolated in terms of we just don't have that many. We don't have anybody within 500 miles of us, so. We weren't real excited. I mean, the conference as a whole wasn't real excited, but, we were excited to get 3 teams in again, I'll be honest. So the second year in a row that we've gotten 3 teams in.
Yeah.
So that speaks to the strength of the conference. So we were definitely excited about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, you guys had to take the loss to help to get that 3rd team in.
We did.
Potentially. Of course, maybe the big win was the loss of Ferrum to Christopher Newport that maybe forced the issue and forced the hand, or not even forced, but allowed the hand to send everybody to you guys, since everybody was outside of 500 miles from everyone. Obviously, that was information you didn't know in postgame. But I got to know, is there a slight maybe on the side wink-wink type thing that you're thinking, you know what, I wouldn't be surprised if they sent him here too, because, last weekend wasn't all that great?
It didn't even cross our minds, and I'm not sure that even our athletic department, our athletic director, our game management, or SAD people even thought about it. We just saw the bracket as we were all up here, and all the other sites were way east, and so last year we went to Williamstown and played at Williams, so we did the long trek, and so. After, I honestly just expected the same thing. So I'm not sure it even crossed our minds. We did put into host again. We did put into host again, and we were hopeful. But I don't think you think about those things. And just to have, and you're right, it was the Christopher Newport upsetting Ferrum that probably gave us the opportunity to host. So it was no other, and we didn't know when we went into the first game. I had no idea. So I was just thrilled to get past Whitworth. It was a very good team. So we were just yeah. So we were just thrilled at that point.
Yeah, if
So we
anybody
played.
doesn't know, Ferrum and Thomas More would have been relatively close to each other, which would have negated
Yeah.
a freebie, as it were, of flying 3 teams out there. Of course, you're going to
Exactly.
take on this Christopher Newport squad, who is the team making the longest trip, like you guys did.
Yeah.
Going from literally as far east as you can get in Virginia. To almost as far west as you get in Washington State. I am exaggerating a little bit without looking at the map. So is there almost kind of a sense of what they're going through, and thus you can maybe take advantage of some things? Or is it a flip side of that you knew how you guys prepared and you got to be ready for anything?
Well, when we played, we matched up with Emory, who also had to travel when we got to Williamstown. So I'm not sure it's exactly the same scenario, but at this point in the season, I think our players are just ready to go. I think their players are ready to go. It's who wins. I mean, who's ready to win? Who's ready to play at the level they need to play at? And obviously, we've got a lot of respect for them. I mean, we've obviously at this point have seen them a lot on film, and they're a good team. And they are going to cause problems for us, and I think we're going to cause a few problems for them. But they're a very quality team, and if we don't play well, we won't get past them, and we know that. And I think they're probably saying the same thing, So it's going to be a great game. I mean, it's really interesting to watch. Walla Walla's not a very big town. You probably know it's about 30,000 people. So it's the community response to us hosting last weekend and again this weekend has just been huge. We packed our gym last weekend, and and part of that was having local teams, having Whitworth and Fox within driving distance. But to be honest, 80% of the crowd was us, was Whitman people and Walla Walla community people, and I think we're going to repeat that. So I think it's going to be a really awesome atmosphere for all the student athletes. I think it's going to be loud. It's going to be the atmosphere you want to play in at this point in the season, and very, these athletes, all the athletes deserve this. And so, so that's the exciting part, is I think our community is really excited about this. Our college is very excited about this. So it's spring break for us, and our president's if we win on Friday, he's going to let some of the students stay an extra day. So he's excited.
Nice.
I mean, it's really, we know how special this is, and we're treating it that way, and we're really trying to make it a great experience for everyone. So
last time we talked, the season was just a couple weeks old, and already you were a team that everybody had kind of marked on their top 25 of going, this is a team to watch. And now looking back at it, you jump onto the stat sheet, and there are 4 players who jump out for varying reasons. You have Sarah Anderegg, 16.7 points a game, nearly 8 rebounds. Heather Johns, 19 points a game, 6.5 rebounds a game. Tiffany Traver, 10 points a game, 3 rebounds a game, but shoots really darn well from outside at 41%. And then you've got, who's the other one? Oh, that's right, 8 points and 8 rebounds from Megan White. Those are the 4 that jump out. Certainly there are other contributors. It seems like maybe it's a deeper team than even I expected to see. You have a lot of weapons, and you've got a lot of people who make a difference all parts of the game.
We started off the season, I think last time we talked, Dave, we were very much in the healing process. We had pulled off a nice win against a very, very good St. Thomas team, and had gone into a tough California road trip, getting a couple wins against quality teams, Santa Cruz and Redlands, but we were healing. We had lost a pro player, Heather Lovelace, who should be a junior this year, to a knee injury, and so we were really scrambling with our depth because a couple of our other returners, we had 3 returners who were coming off injuries, so our depth has just gotten better as the season's gone on. And so we're a lot healthier, knock on wood, but we're a lot healthier than when last time we talked. And so I really felt like a key to the last weekend was we played very well against Chapman, but it wasn't just the starters. I mean, Sarah had a great game. We got us off to a great start. And you look at the stat line, you see still those four players who did their part. But our bench played very well against Chapman. They just came out and they just continued the level of play. And so I think that's key at this point too. And then against Whitworth, we got in foul trouble, and Sarah sat a lot of games. She only played 20 minutes, and we got great contributions again off of our bench. Julianne Maeda, Hallie Busey, and Katie Bray all stepped up and really filled in for Sarah and had all great contributions. So we're healthier. The depth, I think, is better, and it was been a struggle all year to get there, to be honest, because we were really counting on Heather Lovelace to really shore us up in the post. And obviously we haven't had her all year, so we've adjusted. And really, had some kids just really embrace their roles and play well when we needed them to play well. And they're going to need to do it again this weekend. I mean, they know that. So it is. I think good teams, it always comes down to, getting those contributions from kids off your bench. You have to. And our kids have just done a great job of that, especially the last month of the season. So,
in some senses, you're playing in rarefied air. Yes, last year you got to the same weekend. You were on the road at Williams. You got past Emory in a thrilling game on Friday, and then ran into a buzzsaw in Williams in the next game. But you're rarefied air because you're at home. You're going to be able to take advantage of the Walla Walla community, as you point out, and even the Whitman campus. You've got a team that's playing different than you were playing last year. How do you get the team kind of focused on the task at hand and forget the excitement because you're on your own campus? You know what I'm saying? It's not like you could escape it like you did last year and be on the East Coast. You're at home. How do you get the team focused on the task at hand?
It's funny. I just made that comment to my husband this morning that sometimes it's easier to be on the road, especially when you're at midterms, because I think we're at midterms right now, and so our kids are taking tests like crazy this week, and because next week's spring break, so it's just that timing and last year we were giving tests on the road, and so I mean there's always a challenge whatever the situation is, but I think they'll feed a little bit off the excitement of the community to have the event here. I think we really responded to the energy last weekend, especially on Friday against Chapman. Chapman's a very good team, and we played out of our heads. I mean, we played very well, and so I think we'll gain a little bit there. But you're right, the distractions of being at home are sometimes something you got to deal with. But I think one thing this team has done very well this year, and I think any team that has won as many games as we have, is they've taken it one at a time, and that's what we've stressed from the beginning, because it was last year we just kept getting better and better. This year we started off pretty good, and so keep challenging them to get better and to stay focused on the opponent that in front of us. I mean, and the opponent in front of us, is a very good team, and we can't get past that. We can't worry about anything else but getting ready for a very good Christopher Newport team who's playing well, and so. But we've done that all year. We've really emphasized staying in the moment and not looking too far ahead, and they've done a great job of that all year. So I'd expect that they will continue. I mean, obviously that's the mindset they have to have coming into tomorrow.
And obviously, I'm thinking a little bit further ahead, but just out of curiosity, with only one loss on the season, getting as good as this season has been, not to throw water on the fire in the sense, but is it a disappointment if you guys can't get to Stevens Point?
I think that was the goal all along, is to get to Stevens Point. But, I can honestly say, I mean, this is the best team in the history of the college in terms of, we've just never had a team do this, especially in the modern era. Mm-hmm. And these young ladies have nothing but they just hold their heads high whatever happens this weekend. They have had an amazing season. They are an amazing group of young women who've worked really hard. I'm not sure we will not be the most talented team on the court this weekend, but we've been very committed to playing together. And and I've got good players. Don't get me wrong, I've got some really good players, but our strength has always been our ability to find other kids to step up and to play as a team. So so hopefully we'll just obviously that would be that's been the ultimate goal from the get-go. But if they don't get past this weekend, which they have nothing to, but they should just be proud. I mean, they've just done amazing things the last 2 years and really put our program on the map. So in a very tough conference, as you said, it's hard to get out of this conference.
I know. Especially when the NCAA puts you up against them too.
Exactly, and we've been that second bridesmaid so many times to George Fox and Melissa Clark, and right out of getting into the tournament. And so these young women they've broken through, and that doesn't and that says a lot about them. And so I'm definitely proud of them, and believe that they can do it. They just, but they have to stay focused on the task at hand, obviously.
I would love to hear from you after the weekend on not necessarily whether you've won or not, but I just want to hear your reaction to Sydney Moss at Thomas More. But that's for another conversation for another day.
It is. I'm not thinking about her yet.
No,
Dave.
I know. I know you're not.
Exactly.
You got to get past seeing you to have a chance at Sydney Moss. Hey, Coach,
Exactly.
I appreciate you coming on the show. I know you got to go off
Well,
to, I think it's practice.
We do.
I always give the coach final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who are tuning in?
Oh, I just thanks again for covering us so well, and I'm a little disappointed. There's no D3 hoop person out here in
Oh,
Walla
come
Walla.
on.
Come on, we're not that far away.
Yeah, I need
the
a
Pony Express
charter
comes here
flight.
now. Well, Pasco, it's pretty close. And I'm going to tell you, you're missing out some great weather, Dave. It is like sunny and 65 here right now.
It was 65 and sunny yesterday. Now it is 30.
Yeah. Well, we're supposed to be. It's beautiful, and like I said, we're focused on having this be a great weekend for everybody. Great basketball and a great atmosphere for all the student athletes who've worked so hard to get here. So, Whitman and Walla Walla are committed to making sure that if we ever have a chance again in the NC2A, we'll think about sending us again. This type of event. So we're going to make sure we do it right.
Very good. Well, congratulations on getting this far and
Thank
being at
you.
home, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks so much. Take care.
You too. Michelle Ferentz joining us from Whitman. 28-1. They are looking to continue that run. They'll take on Christopher Newport tomorrow night, 10 o'clock local time. I'm sorry, Eastern time. That'll be 7 o'clock local time. 5 o'clock is the other game time. That is Thomas More versus Texas Tyler. Should be a really good game there. We're going to take a quick break as we're a little bit behind schedule. Coming up next, we will talk to Bob Quillman from IWUHoops.com. Talk to him about his Titans and how he sees the rest of the men's tournament breaking down. You listen to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com and the National Association of Basketball Coaches. More Hoopsville right after this.
College basketball lives in Kansas City at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center. The College Basketball Experience is the place to get your game on. It's not a museum, it's an experience you won't forget. Discover the history of the game in the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame, featuring the Gallery of Honor, Mentor's Circle, and Honor Theater. Suit up in the latest CBE logoed Nike gear at the CBE Hoop Shop. Elevate your game today and visit the house that college basketball built.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, and I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's 800 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over a decade. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're at D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
Every season starts with a hope and a dream to play for the ultimate title, to become NCAA national champions. And you can experience it live at the 2014 NCAA Division III Women's Basketball Championship, March 21st through 22nd in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, hosted by the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. Affordable tickets now available. Visit ncaa.com/tickets today and make a date with champions.
And welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. I'm your host, Dave McHugh, broadcasting out of the Hoopsville studios in the greater Baltimore area. Tweet us at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. Email us hoopsville at D3Hoops.com or on Facebook at Facebook.com/Hoopsville. Talking about home cooking and getting you ready for the sectional weekend. And we haven't talked to him all season. I'm not sure why. I don't know if he just was avoiding us. I don't know. But our good friend Bob Quillman from IWUHoops.com joins us on the Hoopsville hotline, presented by the City of Salem, host of the Division III Men's Basketball Championship Weekend. Bob, good to see you, friend.
You too, Dave. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
I'm well.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on, though I'm very unhappy with the picture you just posted about where you're parked right now, poolside in the Texas area in lovely weather. I really wish I could reach through the microphone and hit you.
Well, the bad news is that I haven't joined you this year because of all this chaos with our move from Lincoln, Nebraska to Dallas, Texas. But the good part about that is that I can participate on Hoopsville sitting by a pool in lovely weather. So that's the good thing.
Yeah, I wish I feel bad. I don't have the muster to do it. Your Titans are once again having a good old time in the NCAA tournament, though it has been nip and tuck. Let's go back first on the season overall. Is this the season you expected from Illinois Wesleyan this year?
Yeah, I think minus the loss to Loras early, it's the season I expected. You know, you go into the CCIW and you always expect to drop a couple games, which is what they did. They went 12-2. So I would say, with the exception of that loss to Loras, and of course the shellacking at the hands of the Wheaton Thunder in the conference tournament. Let me clarify, I didn't see that coming. But, yeah, I mean, overall the season's played out about as I would have thought.
We should mention again, Bob runs IWUHoops.com, but he knows plenty more about the CCIW and Midwest region and around the nation as well. Of course, the team gets into the NCAA tournament with an at-large, almost a shoe-in kind of checkmark type scenario for them. And then they survive the first round, Bob. I'm sure you were more than nervous, probably lost a few fingernails in the process when watching that game against Webster, 71-70. We can discuss the call that maybe helped solidify it. There's another call that maybe it doesn't matter. The point was Webster had a chance, and I am quite sure you might have been not too thrilled.
No, I think we're all a little different when we watch our teams play, and I'm typically a nervous watcher. And when things got, the Titans were up 18 points in the second half, and I was just about to the point where I was feeling comfortable. And then 18 turned to 14 to 11 to 9, and, when Webster got within 3 and then 1, then panic was setting in for me. And then when Webster took the lead twice in the final minute, you're just saying to yourself, I mean, wow, this is going to be a huge heartbreaker, and somehow they made some plays. Andrew Zimnick made a huge play with 30 seconds to go or so, and then Dylan Overstreet hits two free throws with 8 seconds to play. So yeah, I mean, I think every team, Dave, that goes on a run in the playoffs has some kind of story about a survival moment, and maybe not to that degree, but I think that was Illinois Wesleyan's for sure.
Yeah, that was one heck of a game. I was a little surprised in the game against St. Norbert. I had just, for the fun of it, picked St. Norbert to win that game, and I had said on Hoopsville quite emphatically that I could envision Illinois Wesleyan in the Final Four, but I also felt strongly about St. Norbert, and so for the heck of it, I was just going to say St. Norbert won that game. I almost wonder if St. Norbert was the victim of what happened in the Webster game. Illinois Wesleyan was like, oh, heck no, that's not happening a second time.
They certainly played with more discipline offensively. In the Webster game, once they got up 18, they stopped doing all the things that got them up 18, which was taking good shots and pounding the ball in first before kicking it out. They just started taking horrendous shots once they got up 18 against Webster, and meanwhile Webster was playing phenomenally. Against St. Norbert, there was no lack of focus at any moment. I mean, they just came out and played really well. I was not that surprised that they beat St. Norbert handily because they're capable of it. But after the night before, you didn't know what the heck was going to happen.
Yeah, I was almost thinking maybe my prognostication was more accurate than I would think it would have been after that Webster game. Of course, now they'll take on Calvin. And Bob, you have covered Illinois Wesleyan, the CCIW Division III basketball for a number of years. Can you believe this is the first time these two men's basketball programs will face off against one another?
It's amazing, and it was the same. You could say the same about Hope until the Titans went to DeVos a couple of years ago in the NCAA tournament. I mean, it's amazing that as of like 3 years ago, Illinois Wesleyan had not played Calvin or Hope. So, Calvin, one of the storied programs in Division III, 2 national championships, great every year, MIAA contender every year. It's amazing that these two teams haven't bumped into each other in some tournament somewhere at some point. It's just amazing. It's amazing to me.
And of course, it's going to be home cooking. Playing at home at the Shirk Center. I mean, if memory serves, and I could be completely wrong here, is it the last time Illinois Wesleyan seriously hosted a sectional 97? That doesn't sound right.
it's amazing, and I think that's a testament to how difficult it can be in the Midwest and West to get to the point where you can host a sectional, because obviously Illinois Wesleyan has had a lot of good teams since that point, right? Some Final Four teams.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's the first sectional the Titans have hosted since 1997.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And on the flip side, look, Illinois Wesleyan has also had a lot of years where they didn't secure the Pool A and ended up as Pool C, and sometimes it's hard to host a sectional, so it's not all on bracketing, but I think it does tell a little bit of a story where great teams have a tough time hosting sectionals out that part of the country.
Of course, you got to thank Calvin for eliminating Wash U from the conversation. Of course, you got to thank Wash U women for eliminating themselves from the conversation as well to set this all up. Of course, you get past Calvin, and you've got either. Now, I'm not going to call Dickinson a Cinderella by any stretch of the imagination. I will call them a sleeper. Or you've got Wheaton, the one who, as you put it, shellacked the Titans. What is Illinois Wesleyan going to have to do to get out of this weekend and make a return trip to Salem?
You know, I think they have to stick to doing what they do well, which is they're really an inside-out team, and sometimes they forget that. They've got to pound the ball inside to their big guys. Mike Marietti, their big 6'8", 240-pound center, and then the forwards, which are the heart and soul of the team, big Victor Davis and Andrew Zimnick, who are built like tight ends. They have to go inside to those guys first. And if they want to kick it out to Pat Soderman for 3, Jordan Nelson for 3, Bryce Dolan for 3, Dylan Overstreet, that is how the offense is supposed to work. When the Titans play bad, it's when they just take that first 3 they get. So I'm just hoping they commit to what they do best, which is inside and out.
When just curiosity, looking at the scope of the entire tournament, what have been your reactions overall?
You know, just starting with the selection day, I thought that it was a little bit disappointing to hear some of the things that the committee chair said about the bracketing process, just inconsistencies. I was frustrated. I thought the bracket was a little bit frustrating as well. So just starting there, didn't feel great about the way the process worked out. I think the tournament's been great. I mean, I think that from a CCIW standpoint, I was really glad to see Augustana win a game. They beat St. Thomas before running into Whitewater. Augustana did that with no seniors on their team.
Yeah, scary.
And really happy for Wheaton. You know, I don't want any part of playing Wheaton Saturday night, but I think Illinois Wesleyan and Wheaton have a pretty cool rivalry thing going where that would be pretty special to see those two teams playing for a game to go to the Elite Eight. And so just from a CCIW fan standpoint, I'm hoping to see Illinois Wesleyan play Wheaton.
Looking at the bracket as it stands now, who do you have getting to Salem?
You know, I'm going to be pretty boring here and say that I actually have the four hosts. So I really like. I do. I really like the 4 sectional hosts to get to Salem, and I think probably in the case of Mary Washington that's probably not the popular pick, but I like the 4 hosts to go.
Interesting, considering Williams is sitting in that 4 host or in that pod there with Mary Washington. But I agree with you on the other 3. I don't see anything jumping out at me right now that the other 3 can't get there. Before I let you go, what's the last time? Well, let me ask you this: are you going to Shirk Center this weekend?
I'm not. I have a work conflict tomorrow on Friday, which prevents me from getting there. So I am going to be where I am all season long, which is in video stream land, and I'm just going to pray that the boys can get 2 wins because I'm locked and loaded for Salem, Virginia. So I'm really hoping that the Titans can get it done because I'd love to see them play.
I was going to say, are you coming to Salem, win or lose?
No, I'm not. I'm coming only with my Titans.
All right.
Just too much work craziness right now with this move and everything, but. Boy, I would love to see the Titans play because I've only seen them in person play 2 games this whole season. So I'm rooting to see 2 games in Salem, Virginia.
Well, we'll appreciate that nonetheless. Hey, sir, I would talk with you for another 15 or so minutes. There's plenty to cover, but I've got other guests I've got to get to, and I know I'll root on Illinois Wesleyan getting there so you and I can be chatting in Salem, Virginia. As always, though, we give you, the guest, the final word. Any final thoughts? And by the way, before I do that, I should mention you are a wonderful contributor to the Hoopsville fundraising project. I certainly appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Didn't get the Illinois Wesleyan shirt to wear tonight, but we will get it nonetheless in the future. You have a Hoopsville shirt on your way. If I see you in Salem, you'll get it there. And on that note, you are your final word, sir.
Well, I've told you this before, Dave, but I don't like when people kiss your ass all the time in this final word segment. So I'm just going to say it's been a pleasure to be on with you, Mr. McHugh. Let's not make it so long next time, and I hope to be talking to you next week about a Illinois Wesleyan trip in the Final Four.
Absolutely. I'm with you completely on that. Thank you so much for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your evening at the pool. Send a drink my way, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Dave. See you.
Take care. Bob Quillman joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline. Appreciate him taking the time to do that. He's a good man. If you ever get a chance to meet him, he is certainly knowledgeable. He used to be the color commentator for Illinois Wesleyan radio broadcasts. Certainly knows his stuff, and his website is pretty good resource on the Titans as well. We'll actually talk to their head coach, Ron Rose, coming up in about 45 minutes. Going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Plattsburgh men's basketball coach Tom Curley about their chances against Amherst. They've been in this boat before. This is not unfamiliar territory. We'll see if they can get past the Lord Jeffs on the Lord Jeffs home court. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com and the National Association of Basketball Coaches. Tom Curley in Plattsburgh State, up next.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's 800 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over a decade. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're at D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
Every season starts with hope and a dream to play for the ultimate title, to become NCAA national champions. And you can experience it live at the 2014 NCAA Division III Men's Basketball Championship, March 21st and 22nd in Salem, Virginia, hosted by the Old Dominion Athletic Conference and the City of Salem. Affordable tickets now available. Visit ncaa.com/tickets today and make a date with champions.
College basketball lives in Kansas City at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center. The College Basketball Experience is the place to get your game on. It's not a museum, it's an experience you won't forget. Discover the history of the game in the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame, featuring the Gallery of Honor, Mentor Circle, and Honor Theater. Suit up in the latest CBE logoed Nike gear at the CBE Hoop Shop. Elevate your game today and visit the house that college basketball built.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
And welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. I'm your host, Dave McHugh. Hope you're enjoying this show as we get you ready for the sectional round of the NCAA tournament in the men's and women's side, talking mainly to teams who are playing host, but we're also talking to teams who hope to be the spoiler in those cases, playing on the road. So if you've got questions for our guests or ourselves, tweet us at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. Email us hoopsville at D3Hoops.com or Facebook us at Facebook.com/Hoopsville. Of course, all of that information right there on the bottom of your screen. One of those teams who certainly would love to play spoiler, and they'd love to do it tomorrow night, is the Plattsburgh State Cardinals. And joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline, sponsored by the City of Salem, host of next weekend's Division III Men's Basketball Championship Weekend. Tickets still on sale, is Plattsburgh head coach Tom Curl. And Coach, welcome back to Hoopsville, sir.
Thank you very much, Dave. Glad to be with you.
I appreciate you taking the time. Last time we had you on was a 12-hour marathon, and that certainly was fun, but you guys are having a little bit more fun, as it were, right now. 24-5 overall. You'll take on Amherst in the second game tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern Time. you guys have certainly been playing good basketball throughout the season, but 2014 has treated you very nicely.
Well, we've got some good senior leadership, and they've overcome a lot of adversity to get to the point to where they are right now. And but through thick and thin, this team has stuck together, and I'm very proud of where we are at this point in the season.
Of course, you've only lost 2 games between the beginning of the year and now. I'm sorry, 3 games. Brockport got you early on in January. Geneseo, who's also a tournament team this year, got you in early February. Brockport, you just nipped you at home for them in the conference championship game. But for the most part, you've been playing some solid basketball that maybe has been going a little bit under the radar.
Well, I think we have flown under the radar a little bit, which is fine with us. We have several supporters locally that constantly tell us where we should be and where we belong, and Magic Man in particular. And we really appreciate the support that he gives us all the time. But for us, it's who do we play next? Let's give our best effort, and the results will be the determining factor, not what other people think and how other people rank us or rate us. That's secondary to us giving our best effort and the final result speaking for itself.
SUNYAC has always had a couple good teams at the top. This year, 3 get in, Geneseo State being the 3rd. What was and of course there was Oswego, who was playing good basketball. Several of the other teams were making plays or taking opportunities. Shouldn't take anything away from a Cortland squad. What was different about this year's SUNYAC that led to 3 teams having more than 20 wins?
Well, I think it starts with the fact that you look at out-of-conference record. Each of the 3 teams that had 20 wins had outstanding out-of-conference records, and so we play 18 games, and you go 6-1 or 7-0 or 5-2, even whatever the case might be, and it gets you on a good start, and then it just seemed to roll from there. And the travel that takes its toll in our conference, but it was a little different in past seasons. I remember my first year in the league. I wasn't when I was with SUNY IT. But going into the last weekend, if we won 2 games, we could have been tied for first. If we lost 2 games, we could have been out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so it's been that kind of league since I've been in it. And this year, there's just a little separation between the top 3 teams. I think Portland and Oswego had their runs, and they're kind of in a rebuilding mode. But they've got some real, toward the end of the year, their freshmen and sophomores were playing as well as anybody. But I think Geneseo, Brockport, and Plattsburgh had the most upperclassmen. And in our league, that seems to be what wins out, the teams that are most junior and senior laden. So I think that could have been the biggest difference and why we separated ourselves. All the other teams are still rebuilding and rather young. And in 2 or 3 years, you may see some of those teams at the top of our conference.
When looking at your team, you have 9 players who have played most games this season. You've had a few miss a few here and there. And you've got 4 guys in double figures, led by Shaver Fields, 14.5 points a game, 6 rebounds a game. You have John Peretz just under a double-double with 13 points a game, a little over 9 rebounds a game. Shamoy McIntosh, 13 points a game, 4 rebounds, also a threat from outside. Edward Correa, 11 points a game, nearly 3 rebounds a game. Of course, his bread and butter is also the outside shot. But there's other guys who played. We mentioned 9, I mentioned 4, so that there's 5 others who certainly make contributions as well. Is that depth going to be a major factor when it comes against Amherst coming up?
Well, in the playoffs, you shorten your bench a little bit, I think, but I mean, you didn't mention Mike Mitchell or Ezra Hodson. Right. Ezra had 27 against MIT. We certainly have some guys that can step on the floor. We've had 9 different guys lead us in scoring this year. And so it's the one thing about this team is that averages can go out the window because you don't know who it's going to be that night, and you don't know who's going to step up. And they share the ball so well that if somebody's got it going, they've done an outstanding job of making sure that guy gets some looks that night. So I don't think you can look at a stat sheet and say this is what Plattsburgh is or who Plattsburgh is. I think the whole is certainly greater than the sum of its parts, and you just don't know who's going to step in and fill what role that evening. So I think we present some challenges to some people for that reason, and I will say that coaching a team like that is really enjoyable. It's been one of the most fun years I've had coaching, simply because one of the principles of sharing the ball is, it sounds easy, but it's not always the case, and this team has done that extremely well.
I know while Amherst wasn't on your schedule, so you couldn't circle the date, the Lord Jeffs have certainly been the target in some senses of the word. You guys lost to them in the second round at their place last year. They, of course, go on to the national championship. Of course, it was ironically the same weekend as we're sitting on here, as last year's tournament was just a wee bit different. You're going on the road. You're playing them. You're at Lafrac. How much can you take from last year's experience? How much can you take from being in that gymnasium that will prepare you for this game coming up on Friday night?
Well, I think that they really jumped on us hard last year, and I think there was a little bit of an awe factor. As you look at, we talked earlier about national ranking and so forth. The fact of the matter is the SUNYAC has had to get through the NESCAC at some point, and it's hard to say you're one of the top 25 teams, but when you lose the national champion, who's to say where you really belong? You know what I mean? And at some point, Middlebury knocked Portland out last year. At some point, we have to get through the NESCAC to get into the Elite Eight, Final Four type recognition, and it's going to take that. So I think that being there last year helps in the fact that we know exactly what we have to do, and we also know it's no easy task. It's going to be very difficult, and it's got to be a solid effort from start to finish. We can't let them jump on us at any point, and we've got to come out focused from the jump and stay that way throughout the entire contest. Last year they were up 24-25, and before we blinked, and we fought back and got it to 7 before we just kind of ran out of gas, and they beat us, I think, 17 or 19. But I think that knowing that they're going to come in as a national champion, that I think it helps us to prepare mentally for what they're going to bring to the contest.
What's the matchup with the Lord Jeffs that you like? What do you think you guys have the advantage in?
Well, I don't want to. I can't really say where we have an advantage. I know I like my team. I know that
I
we're going
almost
to come
got
out
it.
and we're going to compete. We shoot the ball well. We move the ball well. I think that we have the athleticism. As I say, what we have, Amherst has all those same things. So I don't want to say we have an advantage in any singular area. I just want to say that we will come out focused, I believe. I like our chances. I like our team. I can't really say where we have an advantage because I know our team better than I know their team, obviously. And we're at this point, Dave, we're really focused on what we bring to the table, and we want to give our very best effort. We want to do the same things we've done all year, which is share the ball, find the open man, hit the open shot, and play great defense. So comparisons and contrasts, I'll leave that to other people. I just want to focus on who and what we are, and leave all the advantages and disadvantages to the pundits.
Well, I'm not even going to try either. Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming on. I know you want to get off to the team dinner, so I don't want to keep you any longer. Good luck against Amherst in central Massachusetts. Hopefully the weather is treating you guys nicely. Not that you guys aren't very used to the weather to begin with. There's
the advantage. We're more used to this 10-degree weather than they are.
So play it outside. Coach, as always, we give you the final word. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with those who might be tuning in?
I'd just like to say that we appreciate what you do, Dave, and it really gives Division III a voice. And we'll come out tomorrow and hopefully give you a little bit more to talk about.
Well, very good. Thank you for the kind words. We're certainly looking forward to seeing what happens at LaFranc this weekend. Good luck yourselves, and at least stay warm.
Thank you very much, Dave. Take care.
Take care. Tom Curl joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline. Appreciate him taking the time to do so. Once again, they will take on defending national champs Amherst in the second game tomorrow. That is at 7:30 Eastern Time. Video and live stats available. Going to take another break. When we come back, we'll jump into women's basketball. We'll talk to FDU Florham women's basketball coach Mark Mitchell. They are undefeated. Can they get the job done at home in what may be considered a pretty wide-open pot of games here in the sectionals in Madison, New Jersey? We'll talk to their head coach coming up here on Hoopsville. If you got any questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. You can also join us on Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville, or you can join us on via email, hoopsville@d3hoops.com. We'll be back with more Hoopsville and Mark Mitchell from FDU Florham coming up next.
Every season starts with a hope and a dream to play for the ultimate title, to become NCAA national champions. And you can experience it live at the 2014 NCAA Division III Women's Basketball Championship, March 21st through 22nd in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, hosted by the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. Affordable tickets now available. Visit ncaa.com/tickets today and make a date with champions.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, then I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's 800 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over a decade. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're at D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
College basketball lives in Kansas City at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center. The College Basketball Experience is the place to get your game on. It's not a museum, it's an experience you won't forget. Discover the history of the game in the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame, featuring the Gallery of Honor, Mentor's Circle, and Honor Theater. Suit up in the latest CBE logoed Nike gear at the CBE Hoop Shop. Elevate your game today and visit the house that college basketball built.
And welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. I'm your host, Dave McHugh. If you've got questions for us or our guests, make sure to tweet us, Facebook us, or email us. Hoopsville@d3hoops.com is your email address. Twitter is at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville, and of course on Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville. That's how you can get a hold of us. We certainly hope you'll take advantage of that opportunity. And of course, we have plenty of guests to talk to. We've already talked to a few, and we're talking to a lot of the hosts who are making sure that the games go according to plan, at least at their gym, and of course, according to their plan to move on to the next weekend. And one of those teams that maybe not everybody is fully appreciating would be the FDU Florham Devils. They are 29-0 and ranked number 6th in the country. And they are joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline, presented by the City of Salem, host of the Division III Men's Basketball Championship weekend coming up next weekend. Tickets still on sale, and their head coach, Mark Mitchell, joins us. Coach, welcome back to Hoopsville, sir.
Hey, Dave, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I am sure you are doing well, not only because your team is 29-0, but because your team is sitting playing host here this weekend in northern and central New Jersey of a very fascinating group of teams. First and foremost, how important was just the fact you're playing at home mean to you guys?
Oh, it's nice. It's nice playing at home. We're home. We worked hard this year, and I feel like we deserve to host this round. I listen to we listen to you guys all the time. So I listened Sunday night, and you had Coach from Baltimore Wallace on, and she said, there's more pressure on the home team. But, nobody was behind that. who knows if the committee said, Montclair State and Swan and SDU had to go out to Baldwin Wallace, I'm sure she wouldn't have declined. So, there's, nobody's buying that. We're happy that we're home, and our friends, family, and all of FDU will be there supporting us.
What's the reaction been on campus for sitting there, getting the chance to have these games at home, following an opportunity that you had? If I'm memory, sir, I'm just trying to jog my memory. Yeah, you've already been home. So what's it like to have? What's the campus reaction been to be able to host these games at home?
Oh, campus is really in a frenzy. This week, it's been crazy. We're actually in midterms this week, but we're just getting so much support from all the offices and all of the kids on campus. Coming up to myself, my coaches, all of our players are getting so much support from our FDU family.
You got a team who is 29-0. For the most part, you've really controlled a lot of the games and really been in control, kind of set the tempo. You haven't had a lot of quote-unquote close games. You had the game against DeSales in the conference tournament game that was within 10. DeSales certainly played well in that one. But if I go any further back, I cannot pick out a game except for a Puerto Rican team that was within 10 points. 11 was as close. Drew played you that tight. That was way back in December 1st. Or I'm sorry, there's Delaware Valley in the semifinals, 56-49, certainly a little bit closer there. What's been the secret that you guys have been able to get out to leads and then just hold them or extend those leads every game?
Well, it's really no secret. Our kids are just really mentally tough. We had a really tough battle against the University of Puerto Rico, Bayamon, when we were out in Puerto Rico. I'll tell anyone, that's the best passing team I've ever seen in my life. I mean, we were down 6-2 in the first 32 seconds of the game. And that game was really mentally challenging for us. And then we keep that in our mind. We went up 10 on them. They came back and tied us. We went up 10 again. They tied us again. We went up 10 again for a third time, and they took the lead. So we really battled in that game. So we're tested, and we're ready to go.
This is a team that, let's be honest, is in pretty rarefied air. Last year, you guys made the NCAA tournament, lost in the first round down at Catholic. Of course, the game wasn't against Catholic. It was against Widener. Before that, this isn't a team that necessarily was a shoo-in to make the NCAA tournament. You guys struggled, certainly in conference as well. The fact that you're in the second weekend, the fact you're hosting these games, the fact that you're 29-0, can that seem a little overwhelming to you guys when you don't have anything to base it on?
No, not at all. Not at all. This is something we've been talking about since June. So we knew we were going to be good in June. We knew that coming into the season, we had, one goal and one goal only, and that's really just to win the national championship. And we feel like we're the team to do it. I know a lot of people don't really respect our conference, but we have great players in our conference. Megan Nowak and Allison Caeza from Manhattanville and, Alexia Grant from DeSales. I mean, there's a lot of great players in our conference that tested us this year, but we're ready to make this serious run.
You have 5 players, really 9 points, or 4 players, 9 points or better. A couple more at 8 points a game. You certainly spread the wealth. You're a very good rebounding team, out-rebounding your opponents by more than 10. You've outscored your opponents by about, I think that math tells me it's 26 points a game, roughly, a little over 25. And I'm certainly not looking for a scouting report to help the other team, but if you guys have a weakness, what is it?
I don't necessarily know if we have one. I mean, our players play so hard and so smart, and they play for each other. We just leave it all out there. Obviously as a coach, you're looking for improvement. I mean, I would like us to rebound a little bit better, although we're out rebounding our opponents by 10, I still think we should rebound better. And I think that shooting from the free throw line has been kind of an Achilles heel for us this season. However, I believe we shot 83% from the line against Messiah. So I know we're peaking at the right time and we're going in the right direction.
Talking to Mark Mitchell here, number 6 FDU Florham women's basketball coach. Team is 29-0. beat Wells and Messiah to advance to this round of the NCAA tournament. Still undefeated. Coach, when you look at this season, is getting to Stevens Point a bust type thing? If you don't get to Stevens Point, despite the fact you'll finish either 29-1 or 30-1, is it make it a disappointing season, or is this season already way above a good or bad season?
No, this is a good season, but we don't settle for good at FDU. We want to be great. So, we fully expect to be in Wisconsin at the Final Four. And I don't mean as spectators. We want to be participants. So, I mean, we talked about this in June, and like I said, this is an expectation for us. So it's not overwhelming to us at all. We have no pressure. We fully expect to be there, and we're gonna show what the true FDU is Friday night.
You got Baldwin Wallace ahead. You talked a little bit about it at the beginning of this interview. What do you see in Baldwin Wallace? How do you match up? What do you are expecting from the Yellow Jackets?
I've only seen tape on them. I haven't really spoken to any coaches about them. All I know is they play in a really good conference. They're tough. They play a lot of kids, and they shoot the three ball very, very well. And they're well coached.
Is there? You've got on the other side another New Jersey team. You've got a really good Scranton team on the other side. I'm not trying to handicap that. I don't want you to expect what you're looking at Saturday. But what kind of atmosphere are you guys expecting there at FDU this weekend?
This will be a great atmosphere. I mean, a lot of the AAU coaches and high school coaches have been calling me and texting me and stuff like that. Everybody in New Jersey is rooting for Montclair and FDU. I'm sure if that ever happens, they'll be standing room only in the gym Saturday evening. But we're just so focused on Baldwin Wallace. We wanted to get past Baldwin Wallace, and whoever it is, if it's Montclair, if it's Scranton, we're just going to leave it all out there and hope to be in Wisconsin next weekend.
Finishing up here with Mark Mitchell, number 6 FDU Florham team, 29-0. Coach, you guys actually move into the Atlantic region next year. I know that doesn't really change things now or anything, but how well are you prepared for next season?
Oh, we're set up very well. I mean, I'm excited, for next season. You think this year's team is good. Wait till you see us next year. We're going to be just as explosive, so much more dynamic and exciting next season. But we're just focused on Baldwin Wallace right now, and we want to get the national championship this year. We'll follow up next year with next year's national championship.
Yeah, exactly. Follow up next year with a chance of being the defending national champs. Coach, thanks so much for being on the show. I really do appreciate it. As always, give the guests the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those tuning in?
Well, I just want to say thanks for having us on. I'm going to thank everybody from FDU, all my family and friends who support us. I know a lot of people pick against us. I know you picked Baldwin Wallace against us. No hard feelings there.
No, I didn't.
Anyway.
Actually, I had Messiah into this. I had you losing to Messiah last round. So the Baldwin Wallace, I'm not predicting anything.
Love you anyway. But one last thing, the NCAA sent us a lot of banners and things like that, and we hanging them up, and one of them said, "Don't bet on it." So everybody who's listening, feel free to pick Baldwin Wallace, but don't bet on it.
I like how you spun that around. Very nice. Of course, in the state of New Jersey, that's a whole nother backstory. Coach, thanks so much for coming on the show. I really do appreciate it. Good luck this weekend, especially in the game against Baldwin Wallace, first and foremost, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Dave. Love you, man.
Absolutely. Take care, Coach. Again, Mark Mitchell joining us from Florham, 29-0, located in Madison, New Jersey. If you're not familiar with New Jersey, kind of the Morristown area. If you know Morristown, Morris Plains, Madison, that's all a nice little conjunction there, right near. I can't remember is it 2-7? No, I get it wrong. I'm not going to try. Anyway, all the games are there. Of course, they will take on Baldwin Wallace, as we mentioned in the second game. That is at 7 o'clock. The earlier game, Montclair State versus Scranton, is the 5 o'clock game. Wide open pot, I think. It's going to be really good. I didn't make a prediction yet. I'll make them at the end. How about that? We'll see how this all transpires here on Hoopsville. We're going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to talk to another team who's at home, hoping to take advantage of the opportunity. They have lost as late as the Elite Eight, but they have been on the road in these scenarios. Can Tufts take advantage of the home cooking atmosphere and be able to get to the Final Four? Of course, that means going to probably, maybe, you never know, possibly get past one of their own big rivals in Amherst. We'll talk to Carla Berube coming up here on Hoopsville. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com. The National Association of Basketball Coaches. We'll be back with Coach Carla Berube from Tufts right after this.
Division III allows you to give yourself to other things.
Having that free time allows me to pursue the things that I want to pursue.
Division III athletics affords students the opportunity to, engage in the other interests in their campus and in their lives outside of that sport.
It allows you to just be able to do everything you want to do. I wouldn't change it for the world.
College basketball lives in Kansas City at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center. The College Basketball Experience is the place to get your game on. It's not a museum, it's an experience you won't forget. Discover the history of the game in the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame, featuring the Gallery of Honor, Mentor Circle, and Honor Theater. Suit up in the latest CBE logoed Nike gear at the CBE Hoop Shop. Elevate your game today and visit the house that college basketball built.
Every season starts with hope and a dream to play for the ultimate title, to become NCAA national champions. And you can experience it live at the 2014 NCAA Division III Men's Basketball Championship, March 21st and 22nd in Salem, Virginia, hosted by the Old Dominion Athletic Conference and the City of Salem. Affordable tickets now available. Visit ncaa.com/tickets today and make a date with champions.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's 800 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over a decade. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're at D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
And welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday evening. We're getting ready for sectional weekend action here in Division III basketball coming up. We have 16 teams left in both the men's and women's side. The roads to Salem and Stevens Point just a little bit shorter. The horizon not that far away to getting to the ultimate goal, at least of getting to Stevens Point and Salem and having a chance at a national title. Obviously, the ones who come out of this weekend will have that opportunity. Home court is sometimes a deciding factor, but sometimes it is not, because in Division III, obviously a lot of factors go into hosting, but any team who could be on a roll or get the right matchups could be at play. One team that has certainly had success getting to this weekend in their history, but struggled to get past it because they aren't at home, maybe, is the Tufts women's basketball team. And joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline, presented by the Division III Men's Basketball Championship weekend, next weekend in the city of Salem, Virginia, in the Roanoke Valley, is Carla Berube from Tufts. And Coach, as I mentioned kind of leading into that, this is a team that's gotten to the Elite Eight, just lost to Messiah, has lost in the Sweet 16, all of the games on the road. How important is it that you are sitting at home this weekend?
It feels great. It feels great to be home in my own house, in my bed, in our own gym, with our own fans. It's great to be home, and it was an exciting weekend last weekend, having the 2 games or 3 games at Tufts with a great crowd and fan base. So we're looking forward to the same thing this coming weekend.
I was going to say, certainly the previous weekend being at home is nice, but you have the advantage this year that you get to be at home when normally this is a weekend that you've had to travel. We've mentioned Messiah. I think you had to travel to Amherst one year. Is it important to be able to say, hey, you got to come through our floor this year?
Yeah, absolutely, and I think we've been playing well on our own court too recently, and it's our court, it's our rims, it's our lighting, it's everything that we work every day with, and so we're excited, and hopefully we're playing our best basketball this coming weekend.
That being said, you had to have a great shot at the end of overtime to beat a very good University of New England team on Saturday last week. Just talk to us about the game and that incredible shot at the end to win it.
Yeah, I tell you what, UNE really brought it. It was a tough game. They were very scrappy. They defended really well. And took us out of what we normally do, what we wanted to do, and we really had to fight hard and crawl back into that game, and it was a back and forth affair, and we made some really big plays at the end of regulation and definitely at the end of overtime to put us in that situation with big 3-pointers and some free throws, some clutch free throws by Haley Canner, and so it was an incredible atmosphere. And Liz Moynihan, who hadn't hit a shot all night, hit the biggest shot of her career. So it was exciting and fun to be a part of and coach.
I'm talking to Carla Berube here, the women's basketball coach at Tufts, number 4 team in the country, 28-1 overall. Of course, that one lone loss coming, I can't even find it. There it is, Babson, 58-52. They're midway through February in non-conference action. What did you guys learn about from that game? It was right after a Williams game. It was ahead of a Colby Bowden weekend. What did you learn from that Babson game that has kind of re-energized or refocused the team?
Yeah, I think it definitely lit another fire under us. It was one of those midweek games that we just didn't bring it the way we had been bringing it for NESCAC weekends, and Babson was ready, and they got us. They bit us, and it stung. But we're glad it was not a NESCAC game where it might have changed where the NESCAC tournament was gonna be held, and hopefully I think what it did was just give us a little recharge. So it ended up being something good and the silver lining, I think.
Yeah, won 7 straight since then. Of course, winning your first NESCAC title, I think that I know Amherst has been that good, but it just kind of surprises me, as good as Tufts has been, especially of late, but just consistently as well. And that's your first title. That must have been a thrill for the campus.
Yeah, it was awesome. Again, another packed gym. For many years it was Bowdoin, and then Amherst took over for the last few years. So yeah, we've been close, and we finally got the title, and again it had a lot to do with us hosting and those teams having to come through Cousins Gym. But that title means a lot. It's a super competitive conference, and it's just a prestigious thing to win.
You are not afraid to go deep on your bench. Of course, in the NCAA tournament, some coaches go short on their bench, or sometimes they take advantage of that bench. But you're led by 3 key players, at least in the stat sheet. Haley Canner, Hannah Foley, Michaela North? Michaela North. I should mention Liz Monahan, too, by the way, 8 points a game, and Kelsey Moorhead, 7.7 points a game. But that's what's interesting. Is you get to Moorhead, you're at 7.7. It's not that far a drop off to Robertson at 5 points a game, along with McClure. And then you get to Berman. Everybody's finding ways to contribute on this team. You don't have one specific rebounder that you key on. You don't have one specific scorer. You've got at least 3 significant threats from outside, over 100 shots from beyond, from Foley, Moynihan, and Moorhead. Does that make the matchups that much more difficult?
Yeah, I think so. I think, like you said, there's not 1 or 2 players that you can really key on. That it's a pretty balanced scoring attack, and we can play on the outside and on the inside, and yeah, those 3-point shooters are taking a lot of shots. Want them to make more of them, but I think it's great to be that balanced, and we've had a lot of different leading scorers, high scorers, in games, and yeah, I mean, definitely the bench gets a little bit shorter, in the NCAA tournament. Kelsey Moorhead plays a lot of minutes, and she was actually a first team All NESCAC. She's our point guard and one that really leads us game in and game out. So yeah, it's definitely a real balanced team.
When you look at the fact that, again, the last 2 years you've gotten to this game, the Sweet 16 game, the sectional semis, whatever you want to call it, round of 16, you were at Amherst and lost. You were at Chicago and lost to St. Thomas. That was 2 years ago. What can this team take from those experiences, granted on the road, and use to be able to get past this game against a very streaky and probably hot Castleton State squad right now?
Yeah, they are certainly playing very, very well. They were the sort of what they call the Cinderella team now. Up at Bowdoin and beating Bowdoin on their own floor is they're playing very, very well. So we understand and know that this game tomorrow is huge, and we're not looking past it. And they've got some great players and some players that are playing at a really high level and really hot right now. So yeah, I think the games out at LaFrac last year, the game out at LaFrac last year, and out in Chicago, definitely gives us that experience of big games, and both those games, those Sweet 16 games, were tight. They were close, and now we know how to play in those games, and hopefully this UNE game from last weekend and in our Amherst game, and we've had some tight games this season. Baldwin Wallace, Rochester. How can you win in those games? And now we have that experience, which I think goes a long way. Can you take anything from Castleton State's win over Bowdoin? How well you know Bowdoin? Can you take anything when looking at that game tape? Can you take anything from the understanding that they got past Bowdoin and use it to your advantage? Yeah, I mean, I think that watching that game definitely can help you out because we know the Bowdoin system pretty well and their players, and just kind of watch to see how they're guarding them and what Bowdoin did, and that worked well, that didn't work well, and hopefully use that to our advantage. We definitely watch a lot of film, and hopefully we'll be ready for them.
And then no matter what happens in this weekend, where does this season rank in the Tufts women's basketball program?
It's been awesome. It really has been just a pure joy to come into work every day, and I don't even feel like it's work. It's a lot of fun coaching the women that I coach, the student athletes, and I had a baby in mid-October, so it's been a little bit of a different season, but definitely the way my players have just been really, really mature and experienced, and how they go about practice every day and games. They've really, they've brought it every single day, and I couldn't be, more proud of them. And we made it to Elite Eight in 2008. That was another, unbelievable experience. Being the first time we ever even made the NCAA tournament, made it that far.
Yeah.
That's always going to be really special. But this team, there's something about them that it's incredibly gratifying to coach them day in and day out.
By the way, I love your timing. Mid-October, that's perfect. Couple weeks before
know, right?
the practices actually begin in the NESCAC on November 1. Of course, the baby's less than 5 months old right now, or roughly 5 months old. It must be a fascinating season. I applaud you in any way, shape, and form that I can. Of course,
he's going to get a little good luck charm.
Well, apparently.
Definitely. Yeah.
And by the way, another rough winter, so that's a nice omen. My son was born about the same time, and we had a rough winter after that, so that's why I laugh about it. Curiosity, when you look at, I mean, the campus reaction's got to be huge, but when you look at the fact you get to be at home for this, how important is that maybe for the campus?
Yeah, it's great. The one problem is they're going on spring break tomorrow, so it might not be as crazy as it was this past weekend. But I know we'll still have a great crowd. The community area, high school and middle school teams, and other sports teams that are on campus during break. So it's great. It's great to hear from professors who have been teaching at the school for 30 years and are starting to come to games this year. It's unbelievable. Just the support that we have at Tufts, and you definitely can feel it if you watch that game-winning shot. You can just tell just how exciting it is to play games at Tufts.
Yeah, that was a heck of a shot, to say the least. Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming on the show. Good luck as you take on Castleton State. Won't even talk about the possible NESCAC rematch against Amherst. If Amherst wins and you win in the Elite Eight, we'll just enjoy the fact that might happen. Of course, on your home floor, which will be nice, like the NESCAC championship. As always, we give the guests the final word. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with those tuning in?
Yeah. Again, I mean, a lot of people say this, but thank you for everything that you do for Division III women's basketball. It means a lot. But I also want to just say to you, what do you think about Revis Patriots? I like it.
Ooh, I don't know. As a Ravens fan,
right?
I'm gonna say that okay. We're still gonna beat you. It doesn't matter if you put Revis back there or not. We seem to have your number.
Okay.
But Tom Brady can't throw to him, so
that's true. We might need some more players.
You might need to put him as a wide receiver. If you can put him as a wide receiver, that could be fascinating. Actually, yeah. Is that happened? Did I miss news? You're just hoping.
Yeah.
He did. He signed.
Yeah, we signed a 1-year contract.
Oh, I totally missed that.
Yeah.
That's not fair. No, I'm just kidding. What are you, the Yankees? Of course, there is a salary cap. There's a difference. Right. Well, congratulations on getting Revis. He disappeared last year in Tampa. We'll see if he can return. And again, Tom Brady, I don't know. Can he hit? He can't throw to him, so I'm not worried. Actually, I don't even know if we're playing each other this year.
I have no idea either.
Yeah, I have no clue. Of course, schedule hasn't come out. Well, Coach, besides that nice little line, and clearly a big Patriot fan yourself, good luck this weekend.
Thanks, Dave.
Take care.
Appreciate it. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Carla Berube joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline. Apparently, I did not get an alert saying that Revis had signed with the Patriots. How about that? Just random news for you. We're going to take another break. When we come back, Ron Rose will join us from Illinois Wesleyan. I did get a tweet asking me what I thought Stockton's chances are this weekend. Quickly answer that right now. Maybe go in detail a little bit later when I try and predict things out. Stockton, I think, can get past Morrisville State. Morrisville State, again, that Cinderella team that is certainly playing well. But they got to this point last year and lost to St. Mary's. I don't see them being able to have the firepower to get past Richard Stockton. Problem is, if Amherst is the next opponent for Richard Stockton, I think they're in for a world of surprise. Maybe not surprise. Everyone knows how good Amherst is, but I don't know if Richard Stockton matches up well. That being said, you got past Cabrini and Aaron Walton Moss. That was certainly impressive. So I can't vote against Richard Stockton at this point in time. I think that makes their chances certainly easier and better. Problem is, you're going to be at Amherst. That's a bit of a trip here, so we'll see what happens. But I think you get past Morrisville State. I just don't. If Amherst is your next opponent, I don't think Richard Stockton can make a return trip to the Final Four. Of course, last time they did it was the last time an NJAC team had won in the NCAA tournament, and that was in 2009 when Richard Stockton got all the way to the championship game. Going to take a break. Ron Rose from Illinois Wesleyan coming up next. If you've got questions for us or him, tweet us at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. Email us hoopsville at d3hoops.com or Facebook us at facebook.com/Hoopsville. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by d3hoops.com and the National Association of Basketball Coaches.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
College basketball lives in Kansas City at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center. The College Basketball Experience is the place to get your game on. It's not a museum, it's an experience you won't forget. Discover the history of the game in the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame, featuring the Gallery of Honor, Mentor Circle, and Honor Theater. Suit up in the latest CBE logoed Nike gear at the CBE Hoop Shop. Elevate your game today and visit the house that college basketball built.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's 800 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over a decade. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're at d3hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
Every season starts with hope and a dream to play for the ultimate title, to become NCAA national champions. And you can experience it live at the 2014 NCAA Division III Men's Basketball Championship, March 21st and 22nd in Salem, Virginia, hosted by the Old Dominion Athletic Conference and the City of Salem. Affordable tickets now available. Visit ncaa.com/tickets today and make a date with champions.
Division III schools offer academic scholarships instead of athletic scholarships. This really puts the focus that the student athlete needs to maintain that GPA.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III. A lot of people pick schools just based on the sport and don't get that experience.
Being a Division III athlete and developing my leadership skills has definitely put my name out there and helped me get more recognition on campus, but more recognition nationwide. I did win the Jostens Trophy, which is based on leadership, academics, and then how well you do on the court.
I'm also the Schwartz Scholar of my class. Schwartz Scholarship is basically a scholarship that is given to a student who's identified as a likely leader.
At the end of the day, it won't matter how they play on the field, it will matter how they do in the classroom.
And welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. I'm your host, Dave McHugh. If you've got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. You can also email us, hoopsville at D3Hoops.com, or Facebook us at Facebook.com/Hoopsville. That's how you can get a hold of us. We certainly hope you are having that opportunity to do so. We're supposed to have Coach Ron Rose from Illinois Wesleyan here right now, but we haven't been able to get a hold of him, so we'll maybe just move our segment up a little bit and just talk about the overall scope of things. And, of course, we'll try Coach Rose back here in a little bit when we take another break. Of course, a whole show kind of surrounding home cooking, as it were. We talked to many of the hosts involved. But some who would like to kind of disrupt things. Of course, Plattsburgh out of Amherst is one of those. FDU Florham, Tufts, and Whitman were our other guests, and they're all the ones kind of sitting at home and certainly enjoying that. So kind of who's going to come out of this? I mean, I guess a lot of people misconstrue home cooking a little bit, and our good friend Frank Rossi was kind of doing the stats thing. I won't go into all the stats because Frank breaks it down on our Twitter account if you want to follow that. What I will say is, I think one thing everyone has to understand is a lot of hosting in Division III comes down to geographics and regional rankings, which don't necessarily tell you who the best team is. Let's be honest, it doesn't. Sometimes the best team in the country, for example, on the women's side, is not somebody you can host and are not regionally ranked accordingly. Now, Thomas More is number one on the women's side, and don't get me wrong, I understand why they're number one. It's almost not a default type of thing, but certainly a scenario there where you have a split vote. Thomas More with 12 first place votes with 606 points, Hope with 11 first place votes, and 602 points. I mean, literally, you change a couple voters here and there, and it's a done deal. DePaul still has a first-place vote, and FDU Florham down there in 6 has a first-place vote. But of course, they are way behind. A lot of voters not buying in FDU Florham. Thomas More is the number 1 team in the country, and they're traveling to number 7 Whitman. But that's because Thomas More's data puts them 3rd in the Great Lakes, behind DePaul and behind Hope, who, of course, Hope lost. That changes everything. So they're not number 1 in the eyes of the NCAA. And so thus you already have a scenario here. If Thomas More is the number 1 team in the country, they should come out of that weekend. Thus you're going to have a home team who loses. And if you look at that, and I'm just looking at one other thing that I find interesting. DePaul would have played Hope if Carthage hadn't won the game at home against Hope. But they at least split Thomas More out so that Thomas More and DePaul won't meet until maybe the semifinals. That's 3 teams in the same region we've been talking about for weeks. So conceivably, because of that, the best team is not necessarily the host. Regional rankings and geographics dictate that. If you look on the men's side, interestingly in the same corner of the bracket, lower right, Mary Washington is the host with Albertus Magnus, Williams, and Virginia Wesleyan in town. By data, Williams is the best team there in the eyes of the NCAA. They are the 2nd team in the regional rankings, I believe. They sat Albertus Magnus somewhere around 7 or 8. I don't know if they moved up or not. Virginia Wesleyan was a 1 or 2 in the South region. I'm not sure what. Mary Washington going into the final regional rankings was 8. I would argue, let's just say, because they won the conference title, they moved up to as high as 4th. Argumentatively, that may have happened. So if that's the case, Mary Washington is not the best team in that pod. So if anybody else comes out of there, the best team in the eyes of everybody else, or the best team even in the eyes of the NCAA comes out of that. So home cooking isn't necessarily, the home hosting isn't necessarily the best team in that pod. On the men's side, let's just stick with it. In the upper left, you have Emory versus Stevens Point, Texas Dallas versus Whitewater. Best team in the country is at home in Stevens Point. The other one, Dickinson versus Wheaton, Calvin versus Illinois Wesleyan. Illinois Wesleyan host. They're number 2 in the region. But remember, Wheaton has beaten them, so certainly that makes that hosting opportunity up for grabs. It's back in the upper left. Whitewater has beaten Stevens Point this year, though Stevens Point returned the favor in the conference championship game by shellacking them. But still, that puts that maybe a little bit up in the air. Upper right, Amherst is clearly, as the defending national champs and with good data, the best team in that scenario, thanks to Morrisville State playing Cinderella, Richard Stockton defeating Cabrini, and Plattsburgh State coming through. I don't know if that one is as much in the air as the other 2 I mentioned, but it's certainly, I think that might, that one I would say if Amherst comes out of that it doesn't come out of that, that's a surprise. Lower right, we mentioned that again. In my opinion, I think Stevens Point comes out and Amherst comes out. Those are locks. I think the lower left, Illinois Wesleyan, again, they're playing Calvin for the first time ever. They could play Dickinson or Wheaton in the next round. I think that puts things up in the air. And Mary Washington has to get past Virginia Wesleyan just for starters before they'll take on either Albertus Magnus or Williams. So certainly, I think that one's way up in the air. So I think, though, 3 out of the 4 men's get through, but it's more likely going to be 2 out of 4. On the women's side, upper left, in Madison, you've got a wide open scenario here. FDU Florham is the host, but I think Montclair State has proven they're very good. Montclair State, the 8th team ranked in D3Hoops.com. Scranton has proved they're very good. They're number 22. Baldwin Wallace has certainly proved its worth, though they are not, I don't even know if, they were getting votes, but not very many in the top 25. And then, of course, FDU Florham undefeated at number 6. I think that one's a little bit more wide open. I think maybe experience will come into play, though certainly Florham has stood up to every challenge so far this season. Granted, despite what Coach Mitchell said, I don't think the MAC Freedom is that challenging a conference. Lower left, Medford, you got Tufts versus Castleton State, Ithaca versus Amherst. Ithaca might be that team everyone's not talking about. Dan Raymond has a very good squad there. There's a good chance they beat an Amherst squad that is not the same as last year and somehow is getting it done. Remember, Amherst has been to what, 4 or 5 straight Final Fours? Fascinating, to say the least. But I think Tufts will take advantage of its home court advantage. But that one could be a little up in the air, potentially. Upper right, I don't know if DePaul doesn't come out of this. I think the home court advantage is certainly their strength. They're battle tested, to be sure. Carthage is going to give them a test. I think the upper right is one of the most challenging. DePaul is going to have a tough game with Carthage. If they get past that, it's Oshkosh or Whitewater. Of course, for Whitewater, if they win against Oshkosh, it is a rematch of some kind against Carthage or DePaul. But just because it's at DePaul's the national champs. They've only lost one game in 2 years. I can't see why DePaul won't be ready for these games. And obviously we'll see what happens. Tim Bernero is certainly qualified to get his team ready at Carthage. Coach Carollo at Whitewater is going to be ready. Coach at Oshkosh is going to be ready. This is a fascinating foursome up there in Greencastle, Indiana. I guess as I talk about it more, the chance of DePaul coming out of there maybe diminish in my head a little bit, but I still think they're the favorite, to be sure. And then Walla Walla, Washington. Again, we talked about it. Thomas More, the number one team in the country, will play Texas Tyler, who certainly had a terrific win over Rhodes to get to this spot. And then Christopher Newport, and I wouldn't say playing Cinderella, but they're certainly playing spoiler with a win over Ferrum, though I thought that could happen, and I had them doing it, by the way. I think, or I had Capital. I don't remember. Of course, their take on Whitman. The advantage Whitman has with home court is everybody's got to fly there. Christopher Newport has to fly from the most eastern point in Virginia, practically, and Virginia Beach is a little further east, all the way to Walla Walla, Washington. Thomas More has to fly out there. Texas Tyler has to fly out there. The advantage might be that teams have to go to the West Coast. It hasn't always been true that's a factor, but that is a significant mark of that. We'll see how it all translates. We're going to go to break one more time. I'm going to see if I can get Coach Ron Rose on the line and talk to him about Illinois Wesleyan when we come back with him, and then we'll wrap up the show at least with my predictions on what might happen this weekend. Of course, my predictions are, take them with a grain of sand, as it were. If you have any questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. You can also join us on Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville. And don't forget also on email, hoopsville@d3hoops.com. I'm going to double check, make sure I didn't miss an email coming through. Does not look like I did, so no questions as of yet. Going to take a break. Hopefully Illinois Wesleyan coaches Ron Rose will be up next. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com and the National Association of Basketball Coaches. More Hoopsville right after this.
College basketball lives in Kansas City at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center. The College Basketball Experience is the place to get your game on. It's not a museum, it's an experience you won't forget. Discover the history of the game in the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame, featuring the Gallery of Honor, Mentor's Circle, and Honor Theater. Suit up in the latest CBE logoed Nike gear at the CBE Hoop Shop. Elevate your game today and visit the house that college basketball built.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, then I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's 800 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over a decade. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're at D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
Every season starts with a hope and a dream to play for the ultimate title, to become NCAA national champions. And you can experience it live at the 2014 NCAA Division III Women's Basketball Championship, March 21st through 22nd in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, hosted by the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. Affordable tickets now available. Visit ncaa.com/tickets today and make a date with champions.
And welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. I'm your host, Dave McHugh. Out of the greater Baltimore area is where our studio is. If you got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. Email us hoopsville at D3Hoops.com or on Facebook at Facebook.com/Hoopsville. We were able to connect with Coach Ron Rose from Illinois Wesleyan, who I know is eager to be on the show. So we'll waste a little time and go out to the Midwest, Central Region, and talk to the number 6 team in the country. Ron Rose joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline, presented by the Division III Men's Basketball Championship Weekend, coming up next weekend in the proud city of Salem, Virginia. Coach, welcome to Hoopsville.
Hey, Dave, how are you? Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks for being a part of the show. I appreciate it. First time since 1997 that Illinois Wesleyan will be able to play host to the sectional round. I know you weren't there at the time for that. Certainly not looking for your memory bank, but a lot of Titans fans probably hanging their hat a little bit on that was also the year we won the national championship.
We've got some great fans, and we've got some Titan historians, and I have heard that story, and we're really excited to get to host. It's we were able to host the first round last year, which was a single game, but to get to host the regional with 4 teams there and now the sectional is a great honor, and we're excited to be home.
Yeah, I was going to say excited to be home is an understatement. I think your fans are excited that you're home as well. How important do you think this is for the school?
Well, it's just we're really fortunate to have a great fan base. It makes it a heck of a lot easier. I think we've always traveled well. But the fact that we're home is going to allow a lot more people come to the game and see the team play. And Shirk Center's been kind to us over the years, and it's a different dynamic. There's having been the first time that we've done it since I've been at Wesleyan. There's something to be said for when you go on the road and you're going to eat, in the hotel together, and so there's a little team bonding that's involved with going on the road, but they're I guess as Dorothy says, there's no place like home.
Yeah, true. And of course, the Shirk Center, one of those kind of institutions of Division III. It's played host to the Final Fours on the women's side. Certainly one of those places that everybody talks about. I know the place will be buzzing since this will be the first time that the building has hosted a Division III Final Four. I mean, let me try that again. A sectional. How important is it to keep the team focused? I mean, you're at home. This team's used to being on the road. You've got your fans. You've got your city of Bloomington. How is it tough to maybe get the guys focused on, hey, we still have a game that we need to focus on?
Well, I guess the answer is, you worry about it as a coach because unlike when you're on the road, you're in the same hotel. Well, we've got our freshmen are in the freshman dorms, our sophomores are in the sophomore dorms, our upperclassmen in there. So you're not all together. So in a sense, you are a little splintered. But at the same time, we've talked a lot about staying together as a group. It's a kind of unfortunate timing also is our school's on spring break this week.
Yeah.
And so there aren't students around, which adds a whole different kind of dynamic to our kids, or a little different routine. But we do have 6 seniors on the team. We have upper class, junior guards on the team. That this is a big deal. This is the last go around for that group of seniors, and so we've leaned on their leadership all year, and this week has been especially important for that.
I'm talking to Ron Rose here, the number 6 team in the country, Illinois Wesleyan, 25-4 on the season, and we'll be playing Calvin in the second game tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern Time, 7:30 local time. And, Coach, we got a chance to talk to Bob Quillman earlier in the show. He pretty much broke down your team, so I don't think I need X's and O's from you. Of course, he did it from his pool in outside Dallas, so really, whatever.
Yeah, you don't feel too bad for Q these days.
No, I've absolutely lost all sympathy for the man. Considering the temperature dropped 30-plus degrees on me in a couple hours yesterday. Your first ever time against Calvin, this program's history. First time, I talked to Vanderstreek back on Sunday night, and obviously talked to Bob earlier. That is just a mind-blowing stat.
Oh, it's I think was it 2-3 years ago was the first time Illinois Wesleyan
played
had
Hope.
played Hope.
Yes, and that was a thriller, by the way.
That was, I'm hoping it's not exactly the same type of setup. That one took about 2 years off my life, but for two programs that have both advanced in the NCAA tournament over the years, that have never happened to run into each other is really hard to believe. And we've had a chance to watch some tape on Calvin, and wow, what a terrific team they have. And Coach does a great job with them, and I can't say I'm really looking forward to playing them, but it is kind of a neat thing when two storied programs have an opportunity to play each other.
Of course, what's more interesting, too, is because of regional setup, the game wouldn't have counted for you guys. Now it would in the future, so even a regular season game is not out of the question. Hint, hint. But we'll talk about that some other time. When you look at Calvin, you look at the matchup and what they've done so far this season, certainly I know you're not going to give away anything in case Vander Streek's listening or somebody else, but what do you like about this matchup? What do you think you guys have from advantage, or anything you can tell us that can give somebody an idea of what this game might turn out on tomorrow night?
Well, I think it's going to be a heavyweight battle. They have, the thing that jumps out when you just look at their roster is their size. We have, we don't have maybe the height they have, but we have some pretty strong kids in the post as well. So I think it's going to be, kind of a battle on the boards. The rebounding's been their thing all year. We know we're going to have to compete on the glass to give ourselves a chance. And I think both teams are pretty efficient offensively. They shoot the ball so well that you look at, they're big kids. The Cruz kid, 6'9", and can really has a great looking shot. They're going to be hard to guard because they throw out a number of versatile players that can play inside and out. That's kind of been one of our strengths as well for our post players, being able to step on the perimeter. So, as you break down the film and you look at it, there are a lot of similarities between the teams, and it's going to be, at this stage of the season, you're going to play good people, and it's going to come down to which team plays better. Simply stated. It's kind of a duh statement, but it really is you got two quality teams that are both going to play very hard, and one team's going to probably execute a little bit better or shoot the ball a little bit better or control the boards a little bit better. And so it is going to come down to a game of execution.
This team, what jumps out at me is deep. Andrew Zimnick leads the team at 12.5 points a game, 6 rebounds. Victor Davis, 11.5 points a game, 6.5 rebounds. Jordan Nelson, 11 points, and certainly shoots well from outside at 41%. Dylan Overstreet, 10 points a game, 3.5 rebounds, shoots 43% from outside. Pat Soderman, 10 points a game. Michael Mayberger, who may not get enough recognition for his contributions, shooting 41% from beyond the arc and 7.5 points a game. Bruce Dolan, 5 points a game. But you go, let's see, 3, 6, 9. You're willing to go 10 deep in a normal game, maybe even 11 down to Brady Zimmer. Is this something you can take advantage of in the tournament, or are you shortening the bench for other reasons and to try and keep your best guys out there?
Well, we'll play 10 or 11 every game, and we go into it and we kind of have an initial rotation in our mind, and then it's kind of based on who's playing well and the matchups. At that point, the immediate timeouts change the dynamic of depth, so you have to find other ways that. I think that has been one of the keys to, the season for us is we've been able to wear some teams down that aren't quite as deep. We've been able to get through some foul trouble a little bit better than other teams when they get into foul trouble. When you look at Calvin, they go 9-10 deep also. Yeah. And that's going to be the unique thing about this matchup is both teams, again, have a lot of depth and. I have a ton of confidence in our guys. We're not just playing 10 or 11 guys to keep 10 or 11 guys happy. We're playing 10 or 11 guys because we're subbing out of our strength. We're subbing to get stronger when we go into the game. And so, it really is a matter of the confidence I have in those guys. And, you're putting fresh bodies in there, both physically and mentally being locked in, knowing that they may be in there for certain subs 2, 3, 4 minutes, that they can really play hard during the time that they're in.
Got to backtrack a little bit here. That Webster game was anything but as scripted as if you were a Titans fan. Maybe, depending on how you look at it, a controversial call that blew Webster's chances at a game winner, or at least a chance at a game winner. You guys, on paper, should not have been in a nip and tuck game there. What did you guys learn from that, especially considering that game you were coming off of, I'll quote Bob Quillman, a shellacking by Wheaton in the CCIW championship?
Yeah, I got to work on Bob's vocabulary there. We don't like that, but it's actually accurate. It's actually accurate. It was a shellacking. We came in and I thought our kids were really focused. We had built an 18-point lead, and I give Webster and Coach Bunch a ton of credit. I mean, those kids continue to play hard. Coach Bunch continued to coach his team. They got on a roll. They've got some kids that can really score the ball. They caught a wave of momentum. We got a little tentative in what we were doing, and certainly feel fortunate to have escaped with a win there. And I think that kind of gives you a little reality check in terms of, you're one loss from the season being over, especially when you're dealing with a team with 6 seniors that, it's the end of the road for them as soon as we lose. And so there's certainly added motivation. I think that realization of, we got to make sure we take care of business. And we didn't particularly play well during that stretch when Webster came back, but a lot of it had to do with Webster was just awfully good also.
You talk about the 6 seniors. You guys are playing at home. How much does this feel, or does there a little bit of pressure that you've got to take advantage of this opportunity?
Well, I think you can always put pressure on yourself. I think this group, preseason, we were top 5 and have been ranked high all year long. We've kind of had a target on our back in terms of the expectations, and this group has rolled with it. They've done a terrific job and realized that, it comes down to what goes on between the lines. It is a group that handles that well. It can become kind of a loose group. I mean, they just love playing basketball, and they love competing together. And that hasn't, sometimes you worry about that as a coach with whether it's the preseason expectations or now in the NCAA, it's expectation of being home. And this group has the ability just to kind of focus on the moment and focus on the situation. And I've been, as much as anything, I've really been proud of this team of how they've handled that.
Wrapping up things here with Ron Rose, number 6 team in the country, Illinois Wesleyan, 25-4, will take on Calvin tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central Time at the Shirk Center. Wheaton, of course, will take on Dickinson in the first game there. And, Coach, it's going to maybe feel a little bit like a CCIW Wheaton game there, maybe in that first one, considering the Wheaton fans have got to be thrilled they only have to go to the Shirk Center to catch their team.
Yeah, it feels like, 2 weeks ago, Wheaton was down here for the weekend for the CCIW tournament.
Yeah, it's their home.
They've got a familiarity of, kind of a home away from home. And I'm happy for Wheaton for the success they had last weekend.
No, you're not.
You think I'm being political there?
I think you're being political. I think you're being PC.
Hey, Coach Shower's a great guy, and we have a great relationship. And I certainly... I don't want to play Dickinson on Saturday. I don't want to play Wheaton either. You got 3.
You want to buy?
I don't want to play Calvin. Doggone. But you're just excited to be in the situation you're at, and it'll be interesting watching that 5:30 game, having so much familiarity with Wheaton.
Yeah.
And it says, I think it really does state of how good the CCIW was this year.
Of course, if you happen to face them in the Elite Eight, that'll be the 3rd time you faced them in 7 games. Certainly, that's how it works sometimes in conference play and then tournament play. At least it's 7 and not like 5. Coach, thanks so much for coming on the show. I really do appreciate it. I know the Shirk Center will be buzzing. Despite spring break, it'll still be a busy and very much Titan green location. As always, we give the coach the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be tuning in? And I'm assuming Bob is, but he hasn't said anything.
Well, Dave, it's always fun talking to you. I always appreciate the the excitement you create for Division III basketball, and there's no better time now than the NCAA tournament. So thank you for all you do.
Well, thank you, Coach. I appreciate it. Good luck against Calvin, first and foremost. Good luck this weekend overall, and maybe we'll see the Titans in Salem.
That'd be great. Thanks, Dave.
Yep, take care. Ron Rose joining us here on Hoopsville. Again, Illinois Wesleyan. Calvin tomorrow night, and then if they win, they've got Wheaton or Dickinson in this Elite Eight. We'll see how they come out of that. As a result, let's go through how I see things matching up, and let's be honest, folks. My track record is sometimes not the greatest. I overthink these things sometimes, or I don't think about them enough. But let's start on the women's side. We'll start in the upper left. Games at Madison, New Jersey, at FDU Florham. Montclair State versus Scranton will be the first game. Montclair State playing very good, but Scranton may be sneakily good. Granted, I don't love Scranton's road here. They played a very easy game against Bridgewater State. Vassar is a very good team, but I was not surprised that Scranton won, though it was a nail-biter. I'm going to take Montclair State. As good as Scranton has been playing this year, I think Montclair State has just been a bit a step above them. That being said, gosh, I could talk myself into putting Scranton in that game. But Montclair State struggled against Cabrini in the earlier game. Wow, I'm almost thinking about changing my mind here. You know what? Why not? Let's go Scranton in that game, moving out to the Elite Eight. Baldwin Wallace versus FDU Florham. Coach says go with Baldwin Wallace, but don't bet on it. So you know what? I'm not going to bet on it. I had Messiah beating FDU Florham. I think Baldwin Wallace is a good team, but I'm wondering if maybe Florham is much better than people anticipated. I got Florham coming out of there. They will take on Scranton, and you know what? Why not? We'll ride Florham all the way to the national championship semifinals. Lower left, Tufts versus Castleton State, Ithaca versus Amherst. We'll take the early game first, Amherst versus Ithaca. I'm going to go against what I did ahead of time. Ithaca is sneaky good. Amherst isn't exactly the Amherst of old. And I'm almost wondering if Ithaca can take advantage of this opportunity. Dan Raymond's a great coach, so is G.P. Gromacki. As much as Gromacki gets his teams ready, I'm wondering if Ithaca's just got something in them that is just a little bit better than Amherst realizes. Ithaca easily defeated Sage. No surprise there. Well, maybe the surprise was the fact that Sage only put up 30 points. And then they got past Haverford by 11. I think that stands a testament there. I'm going to take a flyer here, put Ithaca past Amherst. Late game will be Tufts versus Castleton State. I know Castleton State is riding a wave right now, but they haven't played anybody huge. Well, they did play Bowdoin, I shouldn't say that, and beat them, but I don't think they can beat two NESCAC teams on the road. I'm going to take Tufts. It'll be Tufts versus Ithaca, and Tufts is just so good this year. I'll take Tufts all the way to the semifinals out of that one. Upper right, Greencastle, Indiana at DePaul. It's Oshkosh versus Whitewater. As much as Oshkosh has had a great season and turned that program around, I think Whitewater may be on a roll that maybe no one's appreciating. They have done very well since we saw them lose two at the D3Hoops.com Classic in Vegas. I'm going to take Whitewater to get past Oshkosh. Carthage versus DePaul. I love Tim Bernero. He's a wonderful man. He's got a wonderful program there. Something about playing at Greencastle I think is going to be their kryptonite. I think DePaul, the defending national champs, will come out against Whitewater, and I got to keep riding the home team there. DePaul on to the semifinals is my pick. Interesting enough, I've now picked three teams out of the home teams here, and I really didn't think we'd have more than two. I think that upper left is where I have the most questions. I could see FDU Florham losing at any point, but I'm going to keep them in there for now. Lower right, Texas Tyler versus Thomas More is your early game. Nothing against Texas Tyler, but Sidney Moss and Thomas More have proven that they are a good team. Think about it. They beat Salem 95-58 and then beat John Carroll 120-86. I don't think there's any stopping right now Thomas More. I'll have them move on versus Texas Tyler. Christopher Newport versus Whitman. Whitman's got too many weapons against Christopher Newport, and then I'm going to have Thomas More come out of this. Why the heck not? The way Sidney Moss has played with that team, the Thomas More story is just terrific. I'm going to take Thomas More on to the semifinals with the win there by the number one team in the country against number 7. Men's side, upper left, Stevens Point, Emory versus Stevens Point, Texas Dallas versus Whitewater. We'll start with the early game, Texas Dallas versus Whitewater. I know Texas Dallas is playing well, but I think maybe the fact that they have not been that tested this year by really top quality teams is going to make me favor Whitewater. Granted, last time I remember Texas Dallas in this scenario, they won the game against the... Here's the interesting thing. Last time that I remember Texas Dallas being in this position, I was there. They were playing the rivals Heidelberg of John Carroll at John Carroll. In this case, they're playing the rivals of Stevens Point in Whitewater at Stevens Point. Texas Dallas won that one last time. Of course, at the same time, John Carroll lost, and so it was a Guilford versus Texas Dallas in an empty gym game in John Carroll. I'm going to take Whitewater, though, because I think they're that good a team, they'll get past Texas Dallas. Stevens Point against Emory, nothing against Emory. I don't think this one's close. Stevens Point wins, and I got Stevens Point beating Whitewater to get on to the semifinals in Salem. Lower left, Illinois Wesleyan, the host in Bloomington, Illinois. I'm going to start with the early game, Dickinson versus Wheaton. I know Dickinson is playing well. I know that they're doing well. I know that they're an easy team to pick against, and I'm going to pick against them because I think Wheaton has an advantage here that Dickinson isn't ready for. First off, Dickinson was having trouble just getting out to Illinois. Don't know what ended up happening. They were going to be on split planes at one point. Now they're on one plane. Maybe they're on two planes. I don't know the latest there. I think there's too many distractions for Dickinson. Don't know how well they handle that. I don't think there's as many distractions for Wheaton. Wheaton moves on against Dickinson. The other thing, too, is Wheaton's playing very good basketball at this point in time. Calvin versus Illinois Wesleyan. This is a pick-em for me. Calvin's playing so well. Illinois Wesleyan, though, is so deep. 6 seniors on the squad. I'm going to take the Titans. They'll face off against Wheaton at home. I'm going to have to go with the Titans. I think they come back off of the loss in the conference championship, and I got Illinois Wesleyan on to the semifinals. Upper right in Amherst, at Amherst. It will be Amherst versus Plattsburgh State, Richard Stockton versus Morrisville State. Start with the early game. Sorry against Morrisville State here. You're running into another buzzsaw and Richard Stockton. Don't like the matchup here. Richard Stockton moves on. Amherst versus Plattsburgh State. Nothing against the Cardinals of Plattsburgh State. I know they play well, but Amherst is just too good. Amherst versus Richard Stockton in the quarterfinals, and I'm going to take Amherst moving on to the semifinals with a chance to still defend their national championship. Lower right, at Mary Washington. I'll be there Friday night, and I'll be on the call for Albertus Magnus versus Williams. This is a matchup we finally get to see. The Falcons of Albertus Magnus versus Williams, the Ephs of Williams. This is the matchup we want. This is a big game for Albertus Magnus. This will, if they win this game, they tell the world they're just that good and they're disrespected in the Northeast region. If they win big, it's even bigger message. However, I like Williams here. There's something sneaky good. You realize they've lost 4 games this year, 3 of them to Amherst and 1 at the very beginning of the season to Southern Vermont. I know Albertus Magnus is good. There's a good chance they're going to surprise here, but I'm going to take Williams coming out of that game. Mary Washington versus Virginia Wesleyan. This is a game that fascinates me. 2 teams who are very guard-orientated, very aggressive in the defensive nature, and like to shoot from outside. It will depend on the officiating, in my opinion. Mary Washington, if they're given a little bit of leeway, will certainly take advantage of that with some extra contact. They will battle inside as well, and they will crash the boards. They will defend from the outside. Virginia Wesleyan, same scenario, will shoot from outside. The problem I see with Virginia Wesleyan, they are struggling to put 40 minutes together. They are struggling to put 2 halves together. Remember, Johns Hopkins, second half, Virginia Wesleyan shot 55%. I think Hopkins shot 41% in that half, and Hopkins still nearly did get within 2 possessions late in the game after being down by about 20. In the second game against Wesley, Virginia Wesleyan struggled. Wesley took the lead. Virginia Wesleyan took the lead back and were able to hold on. I don't like this matchup for Virginia Wesleyan. I'm going to ride the surprise team maybe, or at least a sleeper in Mary Washington along to Williams, and then that's where the road ends. Williams is too good. Williams will have inside presence I don't think Mary Washington can handle, and Williams goes on for a rematch in the NESCAC against Amherst in the semifinals. That's kind of how I see it, and guess what? I'll probably be dead wrong on all of that. Of course, I have 3 men's teams moving on that are home teams. I got 3 women's teams moving on that are home teams, which probably means I'm going to be wrong on at least one of them, if not 2. That's going to do it for Hoopsville tonight. We'll be back on the air Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time as we get ready for Salem. Couple tidbits. Thursday Hoopsville show may be on earlier next week, but it'll still be archived. Will be a special show involving coaches from the NABC at a special reception for them. Still working on the exact details. We're going to be on the air maybe 5:30 or 6 o'clock that evening, going for a while. I actually may step aside, and Pat Coleman will take over the show for a while as well, as I have been asked to take part in the championships dinner as well for the teams. And it's a true honor for me. I appreciate the city of Salem and the ODAC thinking of me. Looking forward to that opportunity at the dinner, getting to talk to the players and coaches. So there is what we've got going on. So next Thursday, a little bit earlier, again, full coverage. It's Salem Friday and Saturday. Gordon will also have full coverage. More details on Sunday as we get closer to that. But again, Sunday, 7 o'clock Eastern, we'll wrap up the sectionals, start looking ahead at the two Final Fours in Stevens Point and Salem. I want to thank all of my guests who appeared on the show tonight, including Michelle Ferentz from Wheaton, Bob Quillman, our guru from the Midwest region, despite being at his pool in Dallas, Tom Curl from Plattsburgh State, Mark Mitchell from FDU Florham, Carla Berube from Tufts, and of course Ron Rose from Illinois Wesleyan. We'll be back on the air again Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. I will be on the call at Mary Washington, play-by-play for Williams versus Albertus Magnus, and providing color commentary for the game between Virginia Wesleyan and Mary Washington. And then I'll be back here, actually. I'm not staying down there for Saturday. I'll be back here monitoring it all and getting ready for Sunday's show on Saturday. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate all your support. If you got questions for us when we're not on the air, tweet us at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. Email us, hoopsville@d3hoops.com, or Facebook us at facebook.com/Hoopsville. You've been listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com and the National Association of Basketball Coaches. Also a thanks to the City of Salem, proud host of the Division III Men's Basketball Championship Tournament, for sponsoring our Hoopsville hotline. We're going to take a break for a few days. We'll be back on the air Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Good night, everybody.